But I've seen Margaret Thatcher stood there wearing marigold rubber gloves, helping the Queen wash up at a picnic. The Queen washing and the Prime Minister drying. The Queen thought that was normal. The Prime Minister didn't. The strangest thing I saw whilst looking after the royal family, for many of them, they live a very strange lifestyle at times. Prince Charles has his toothpaste squeezed onto his toothbrush. I'm sure as king, he still does that. His shoelaces ironed every morning. His pajamas pressed with a crease so that they look brand new every night. Mirrored, finished shoes, spit and polished. It's a different world. But I also saw strange things happen with members of the public. Whenever they meet the Queen, for instance, they go to pieces. Whenever they meet a member of the royal family, they just lose it. And I've seen that happen on so many occasions, even with foreign dignitaries and royals. I mean, having looked after presidents and prime ministers, kings and queens coming into the royal presence, it's unusual to see someone behave so inappropriately. I've seen men curtsy, not thinking as they approach the Queen, I've got to bow. They drop a curtsy instead. Unusual, isn't it? But I've seen Margaret Thatcher stood there wearing marigold rubber gloves, helping the Queen wash up at a picnic. The Queen washing and the Prime Minister drying. The Queen thought that was normal. The Prime Minister didn't. So sometimes there are role reversals when you enter a royal service, and sometimes you find yourself in extraordinary positions. I've seen corgis throw up in the hallway in front of prime ministers and kings. I've seen inappropriate behavior in the dining room when royal children have been told off by their mother, the Queen. And I've seen silliness at all levels. But I've mainly seen people behaving like families, because the royal family are like us in many ways. They are a family. They still perform their duties in public the way they're supposed to. They live in two different worlds. They live in their world behind closed doors, a private one, and a public one on the world stage. The Queen always said to me, "Where's my costume?" Not her clothes. So when she goes out into the world and does a public duty, she wears a costume. Interesting, isn't it? Like an actress would. She's performing the role of Queen. When she comes home, she takes off that costume, puts on a skirt and a blouse, and she's Elizabeth. So you see that the strangeness of the two worlds colliding, and all of those egos, those satellites of members of the royal family revolving around the monarch. And occasionally they bump into each other and cause problems and troubles. It's a very unusual world to observe from the inside. A cup of tea in the royal family is always served at 5 o'clock, or breakfast in the morning, never in between. Not like you and I, we have cups of tea through the day. No, the Queen looks forward to her cup of tea. Well, the Queen looked forward to having a cup of tea at breakfast time as she sat at her breakfast table listening to the bagpipes underneath her bedroom window, because every morning at 9, wherever she was in residence, her bagpipes would be playing. 9 o'clock in the morning, a cup of Earl Grey tea, and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, another cup of tea. Only 2 cups of tea a day. All the handles of the teacups are placed at 5 o'clock, and all the spoons in the right direction. Sandwiches are eaten in the right order, and never anything sweet before anything savoury. Savoury first. The Queen's favourite, Sasha chocolate cake, would be on the table, and nobody would dare take a slice until Her Majesty cut it. I was always taught that a scone, pronounced scone, not scone, a scone should be broken. You twist it in half, it breaks onto the plate, and then you apply a little butter if you wish, but mainly the jam first and the cream second, because the cream is a topping. If you put the cream on first, the jam might slide off your scone. It's practical common sense, really. And when making a cup of tea, you never put the milk in first. They're called myths. The milk in firsts. Don't be a myth. You put your milk in last to colour the tea. I've been part of many state visits. I've rode on state drives through London on the 1902 State Landau. I remember riding behind President Ceausescu of Romania with the Queen in the carriage. Why he came on a state visit, heavens knows. I also remember President Reagan coming to Windsor Castle. And that was one of the most amusing state visits, because when the president was leaving his suite, the Lancaster suite in Windsor Castle, he said to me, "Oh, Paul, Nancy, I haven't given him anything to remind him of our visit." I said, "Yes, you have, Mr. President. You've given me a jar of your jelly beans, and I'm forever grateful for those. You know, I need to give you something a little more rewarding," he said, "something more tangible." And he looked down at his belt buckle, and he snapped off his belt buckle like a cowboy would, and he handed it to me. I thought his trousers were going to fall down. And on that buckle is a picture of him and the White House. And on the back of the buckle, it's signed Ronald Reagan. The buck stops here. So that was one of the most unusual presents and state visits that I ever did. So after the visit, the Queen said to me, "Tell me, what was he like?" I said, "Well, you're not going to be very thrilled when I tell you that he was very normal. And he and Nancy were devoted to each other. They often sat on the settee holding hands." "Really?" she said. "Well, you should know, you looked after him for a week." I said, "Well, that's who he is, just a very ordinary, friendly man. I liked him very much, and so did the Queen." When audiences engage me for an after-dinner speech, they will have an inside view of what happened behind closed doors between 1976 and 1997, my 21 years of royal service, which encaptured both Queen Elizabeth II, her Silver Jubilee, and of course the tragic loss of Princess Diana, and everything in between. I lived in the golden era of royal service. It will never be the same again. There isn't anyone else that can tell you what actually happened inside Buckingham Palace and those four walls of Balmoral or Buckingham Palace, or those four walls of Balmoral, Sandringham, the Palace of Holyrood House, and on board the Royal Yacht Britannia. So I have a plethora of stories, some funny, some sad, which I think you will find engaging. I think you will enjoy an evening with Paul Burrell, the Royal Butler,